Hey friends, it's your tarot fairy godmother here. So this may be a bit of a rambling rant, and I'm still sort of forming my thoughts about it. For those of you who were with me today is Thursday, we did our tarot topics weekly newsletter recap. The topic was generational energy, looking at how energy follows us from generation to generation. Today's date is August 11th, if you're looking to watch the video. And it's an hour-long video. Sort of near the end is where this particular thing happened. I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'm going to give you my rant. My rant is basically against two kinds of people. And I don't know that you've ever seen me rant against people before. I typically rant against ideas. And really, I guess, no, I was trying to say, well, really, I am not ranting against people. Today, I'm ranting about the ideas people have. And on one level, that's true. But on another level, no, I'm about to rant against people, which is not a usual thing for me. But so here's the stage. I am doing my usual thing, my usual live stream that I do on Thursdays, where I'm just going through the thread and answering people's questions, and we're having a good time, as per usual. And a person comes in, I haven't seen her before. I'm always happy when new people come in, right? Her name is Nurse Who Cares. Sounds like a good person. And what she says, her comment, and it takes 24 hours for the comments to come back where we can see them, so I can't give you the comment. You'll have to go back and read it in 24 hours. But it was something like, you psychics need to be careful about the things you so flippantly say that could really hurt people. Something like that. And then a few comments later, she says, thank you for not taking this down. Usually, when I put this up, people take it down right away. And so I address her. And I say, okay, you're absolutely right that readers should be very careful. But have you, in listening to me, heard me say anything hurtful to anyone? Anything other than have good boundaries, love yourself, believe in yourself? Have you heard me say any message to any person that could in any way, no matter how interpreted, be hurtful? And then I went on to say that if yes, there are fraudulent psychics in jail and those who should be in jail. But if you lump all psychics in that category, that's what racists do, is make everyone in a particular group, whether it's a racial group, a cultural group, whatever, be bad because they've had one experience with one person from that particular group. So, they're all like that. And then, I actually did a reading for her, figuring out why she's doing this, because clearly when she said that she posts this thing on other psychics threads, on other psychics channels, she's a troll, and she just identified herself as a troll, right? And so I did a reading for her. And what came up to me in the reading is that indeed she had had an experience, or a friend, someone she cares about, had an experience with a fraudulent psychic. And so she's painting us all with that broad brush. The thing is, she didn't stick around. Or if she did, she didn't comment again. And I gave her every opportunity to engage with me in a real way. And I recognize, okay, so she's just a troll. You're not supposed to feed the trolls. But because she did engage in a way that felt like she had some intelligence, and that she had a real concern, and she had actually thanked me for something, I thought maybe she'd engage with me in an appropriate dialogue. Did she? No. Okay, so here's the rant. Number one, the psychics and readers the tarot readers, the psychics, all of that, who are either A, actually fraudulent. I see a dark cloud around around you. And unless you pay me $10,000, bad things will happen. Your son is doing drugs in heaven. Your son who died of a drug overdose is doing drugs in heaven. You must give me your heirloom jewelry so I can prevent him from doing drugs in heaven. Yes, these things really happen. They happen all the time. And occasionally these people do get arrested for fraud and go to jail where they belong. But the fact that they exist makes it hard for us, you know? And then there's also the readers who have been reading for 5 minutes and they decide to be professional and they don't know what they're doing. And they're probably very well-intentioned. They're just not ready to be out there as readers. You know, they find, you know, it happens to all of us in that first time you open up the cards and you give a reading and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. It just flows. Hey, I can do this. Let me do it professionally. Not realizing that just because you did a couple of good readings, you know, not every reading is going to go that smoothly, and you need to develop some real skill before you can get out there professionally. And, you know, then there are people who probably just aren't skilled enough. They love it. They want to help, but they really don't have the skills. And they're all out there. This is a self-regulated industry. And so it really is let the buyer beware. And so my first rant is sort of against the fraudulent psychics, the inexperienced psychics who make the rest of us look bad. And my second rant is against those people who would paint us all with that broad brush, or who would paint any group of people, any profession, anything with that broad brush. We have to have nuanced thinking here. We have to recognize that just because you have a bad experience with one person of a particular profession or gender or race or nationality or religion or anything, that doesn't mean that everyone who belongs to that group is the same. Now, there are things that are culturally corrupt. Where, you know, we could say, well, everyone in this particular culture on some level is part of that corruption. And again, nuanced thinking, you know, so let's talk about people who subscribe to fundamentalism. And you'll hear me rant about fundamentalism probably quite often. Now, you know, here in the US, we are very exposed to Christian fundamentalism because they are right now taking away our rights and trying to run the world, which they've been trying to do for a long time. I went to a fundamentalist Christian high school in the 70s, and they were just then planning and plotting about how they were going to take over politics. And at that point, they hadn't figured out yet if it was going to be the Republican Party or the Democratic Party that they would take over. It turned out to be the Republican Party. And, you know, back even earlier than that, like in the late 60s, Barry Goldwater, maybe that was the early 70s, but anyway, Barry Goldwater, arch conservative, said, whatever you do, do not let these preachers take over the Republican Party, because politics is about compromise, and these people are on a mission from God, and so they don't feel like they have to compromise. Well, people should have listened to Barry Goldwater. Anyway, fundamentalists show up, you know, Islamic fundamentalism. We know where that gets us. Even tarot fundamentalism. This card always means this, and it can only mean this, and it can't mean anything else. Any kind of fundamental thinking, right? So is every person who is a fundamentalist bad? No, but they are all guilty of buying into a corrupt way of thinking. So painting a whole swath of people with one broad brush, always bad. Recognizing that people who subscribe to a particular belief system may all have a certain level of corruption, fair. My troll today, Nurse Who Cares, if you happen for any reason to find this video and be watching it, I would love to have a conversation with you. I promise I'll be respectful, even though you were not respectful to me. Let's talk. So, what's the upshot here? If you go to have a reading with someone, I'm available. Now, seriously, if you go to have a reading with someone, you're going to have to judge for yourself. Is this person worthy of your time, energy, and money? Is this person someone who can give you valuable information that will be helpful? Or is this someone who is inexperienced, unintelligent, or a fraud? And the thing about those frauds is they can be very good psychics. That's how they do it. They're not fraudulent about their psychism. They're fraudulent about their intent. Their intent is not to give you a reading. Their intent is to give a reading and use their good psychic ability to scare you into giving them a bunch of money. So avoid those people. Call out the people who paint people with a broad brush, the racists, the homophobes, the transphobes, and the people who think that all psychics are bad. Call those people out. But recognize that people who, as a group, subscribe to a flawed way of thinking may not all be bad people, but they have all subscribed to something that is intellectually or spiritually or morally corrupt. I said what I said. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? Give me a comment. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you.